federal jobs, anywhere. Let me see. Sorry, let me clear this off here. Anywhere in the U.S. And if you're interested in working outside of the U.S., they also have positions, federal positions in foreign countries. So you can pretty much find anything that you want in here. When I search, or when I have someone that contacts me and says they're interested in looking for a job, for students, for keywords, I just suggest put in student. And it pulls up a lot of kind of other choices in the drop down, but I just say, just leave it as student, so it's as broad as possible, so we kind of capture everything. And then for location, I will just put California. In the drop down farther down, you see you can limit it by county. But for me, I want to see anything that's available in California, just to give me an idea, even if it's outside of an area where like I might be working or the person would work. It'll sometimes tell me what's available, what's coming up, maybe something I've never heard of for me to look for. So I'll just leave it that broad. And let's see, and then hit search. Let's see, this a different way. So when I did that, it brought up like 1,300 jobs, which is a lot. I don't want to look through 1,300 jobs. So I'll go over here to the side, and there's filters over here for limiting what you're seeing. If I'm looking for something for students, then I would check student, and then also recent grads, because maybe, I kind of want to start thinking about what is coming up when school is over. So I'll look at those. And then that's brought it down to 22. 22 is more doable for me to look through. So when I look through these jobs, over on the left-hand side over here, it's going to kind of tell me what it is. And then it'll tell me here, you'll see open. That is the time that it's open to apply. And then this to date, it says open, a date, and then to is when the job is going to close. So using usajobs.gov, I can create my resume online, I apply online, I can start a resume, save it, and then look for jobs. And as I find something I'm interested in, use the resume I've created to apply online. But it's super important that it's within that date, the open and close date. Once it closes, then they just don't accept anymore. So if you saw something you're interested in, my suggestion is, apply for it, put it in. Even if ultimately you didn't think it's something you're going to take, or your situation changes, it's never bad to apply, because it's not like, they'll say, oh, the person applied and then didn't accept it. There's just so many jobs within the federal system. They're constantly used to people's situations change, people move, people get a different job. So if you apply for something and they contact you, you're no longer interested, just say, not interested in applying at this time. But if that date closes and you find out later you're interested in it, then, there's just no way to get your application in. So this one right here, see, kind of pops out to me, student trainee veterinary. It's with the Department of Agriculture. I see it's open November 2nd to November 16th. So relatively short time when it's going to be open. Over here on the right-hand side, it tells me where the starting pay. This one above it here says starting at 0. So that's totally just a volunteer position. Like I would take that position if I just wanted to get the experience with it and have something to put on my resume. But this one is paying. It says internships, multiple schedules. So it kind of tells me that they're going to be flexible on what we're working on. It's probably not like a 9 to 5. And right here where you see GS 2 to 9, that's the pay scale that pretty much every federal job uses. So if you ever have a question about how much a federal employee makes or what the job is going to pay, you can just Google online, GS pay scale, federal jobs, and it'll just pull up a chart, and that's the salary. It's the same for everybody. What's different is if you're looking for a specific area, they have locality pay. So for example, us living here in Southern California, they're going to give us a little bump more for locality pay because it's more expensive to live in California than, say, for example, if we were in Montana. Now, if I want to look more in this job, I'll click and go in here. And this is going to tell me more about the work and location. So it's listing these here. This one pulled up Sacramento because I put all of California, but it says more locations. So I'll look down here. And I don't see anything else close by in California for me. But if this was a position that I'm going to kind of keep checking on and see if maybe they open up something down here in Southern California, I would look through it a little further. It tells me it's telework eligible, which is a new thing because of COVID. A lot of positions in the federal government are offering telework. And then it's going to have some duties about the job. So when you're filling out your resume, if you go on usajobs.gov, my suggestion is read through the entire announcement. It has here, learn about this agency. So click on that, read what it says about the Department of Agriculture, and then look at the summary, the responsibilities, the types of things that you'll be doing, so that when you create your resume, you want to make sure that what they're looking for is included in your resume if you have that experience, even if it's unpaid experience, if you volunteered someplace or work that you did in a class. The way these resumes go through, there's a lot of searching by keywords. So I want to make sure that I capture all my job experience that they're looking for here, so that even though maybe I'm qualified, I don't put that in my resume so that they're able to see it. My resume could get kicked out and I might not even be considered for the position. So read through it. You can print if you want. When I find something that I'm interested in, or I think someone else might be interested in, I usually go to share over here. I'll email the person the job announcement so that they have it and they can see it. And you can star it also to save it. The announcement number right here is kind of your way of tracking this job. So the announcement number is important also if you want to come back and find it. And then I'll look down through it. It's going to tell me my requirements of the job. If it's a student position, I've discovered that can vary quite a bit. Some student positions, they'll say, you can start like from high school, and then any student work that you're doing, you can apply for this job. Others will limit it. They want a certain number of credit hours already, or this one is saying here, a GPA of 2.5. Some don't have that requirement. So read through, they're all different. And then you start to get an idea of what's out there by reading through different applications. And this will tell you the qualifications here. Like this, what I've seen is pretty standard. You have to provide some type of proof of enrollment. And I've discovered with a lot of student intern positions, they're very flexible in the schedule. We hire student interns at my office, and we'll say, sometimes it can be just like 8 to 10 hours a week. If the person's going to school, but they want some experience, they'll come in maybe, a couple hours during the day, but we're extremely flexible with it to help them get through school. And if you look through these jobs and you see the term pathways, pathways is a term that the federal government uses, meaning you can start as an intern. If it works out for you and if it works out for the employer, then they'll go ahead and hire you. They're already setting you up for a permanent position within the federal government. So pathways, if you see that term, that's what that means. It's a position that's designed to kind of start you as a student and then move you into permanent employment. And we've had quite a few people in my agency hired that way. And again, I would just say, if you're interested in something, read all the way through it so that you know exactly what they're looking for. Veterans, if anybody's been in the military, you get a little point preference for having served in the military. And then it'll tell you at the bottom how to apply. If you have any questions, then each of the job announcement has a contact person at the bottom that you can reach out to if you have some specific questions about the application. But it's all done online. And my advice for creating your resume online with usajobs.gov is start with kind of a basic resume, but make sure you read through the announcement and then tailor the resume to that specific job announcement so that you're meeting all the keywords that are in there, so that they won't kick your application out at the very beginning part of the process. And that's what I had prepared for today. If there's any questions about it, you can ask or type them in the chat.
There is one question in the chat about your position.
Sure.
He's asking, for the Office of Inspector General, are you assigned into a specific field for agriculture or all fields? Or what are the different positions working for the USDA's Office of Inspector General?
Okay, so each department has its own Inspector General. So I'm specifically assigned to agriculture. If you have, we have like labor, they have their own Inspector General that does their own investigations. Each department you go to, Department of Defense, Department of Justice, they all have their own. So I only work with agriculture. And within USDA, OIG, there's auditors, there's investigators, there's people that do like personnel management, there's people that do tech, there's people that do kind of forensic investigations on computers and things like that, looking through computer devices, like if it's part of evidence. There's a lot, just different jobs within the OIG that are not strictly investigations. And the Department of Agriculture funds over 200 programs. So beyond just thinking about work on farms, there's foreign ag, there's the food stamp program, there's farm loan. We also enforce the Animal Welfare Act. So I have cases related to animal fighting. Those type of investigations also fall under the Department of Agriculture. But if you're not interested in investigative work in the Department of Agriculture itself, there's also a lot of jobs not related to OIG that would be just maybe research, working on farms like I had wanted to do, administrative work, office work, things like that. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. I'm not too sure if he's. Yeah, I think that answers his question. And then I have another question from our advisor. What is the median salary for bachelor, or is that for bachelor degree holders?
Gosh, I would say that most, probably not, it's just super kind of general. I would say probably starting is like a GS5 or a GS7. And I would have to look at the pay scale to see exactly what that is, but I'm thinking that it's in the realm of like $60,000 a year. But again, I'd have to look to see. And some of these jobs I look at, they start at maybe GS5, but you can go up to like 7, 9, or 11, and they will base that on prior work experience and then also education too. If, for example, you don't have a BS, then it might be starting at like a 5. But if you have a BS or if you have a master's, then you get more kind of pushed up towards like the 7, 9, 11 range. But again, it's different for each job. I couldn't even say that there's one answer that fits every federal job. My suggestion is go on usajobs.gov and then start kind of just looking around in the site to see what's out there and then getting an idea of pay range. And did that answer completely?
Yeah, I think he's nodding yes.
Okay.
And then there's another question. Is there a job in the USDA that is focused on hands-on animal health care or handling without a DVM?
Yes, so that's what I was interested in when I came back. And that agency is Veterinary Services, and they hire animal health technicians. And what I was interested in doing when I came back from Peace Corps would be working as an animal health technician. They did a lot of brucellosis testing, herd health testing. It depends on what region of the US you would be in, the type of livestock you'd be working with. I know I had a friend that came back from Peace Corps and they did a lot of work with swine, but he was out more towards the southern part of the US. But Veterinary Services would be the agency within USDA, and then the position would be animal health technician, and you don't have to be a vet to get that position. And my suggestion too is if you saw an intern position and maybe it's not exactly what you were interested in, you know, if it's just like for a summer, you could try it out. And what I've discovered too is sometimes in that capacity, I'll contact people, meet people, and it'll kind of spark an idea jumping off to something else that maybe that's where I want to stay. Because I discovered I didn't want to stay at the MedFly project when I was working for the state, just because I didn't have healthcare benefits. But the fact I was working on that project, the federal supervisor there is the person that said, you know, hey, go down and apply in the harbor. So I sometimes think, you know, if you just want to try it for summer, not that bad.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Thank you, Carla, for that nice presentation. My name is Gikara. I am advisor of this club. There are other faculty members who are not here who are also advisors. I really appreciate your time to come here and talk to the students, and very encouraging. Personally, I used to work in extension service from another country elsewhere, and I know the value of public service. You don't have to get rich when you work there, but you sure get satisfaction to your life when you serve people and you see how things change in a short time. One question I have for you that might benefit them is when you look at the people you work with, the people come there with a master's, and that's who come with the bachelor's. Is there a major difference in compensation that will encourage the students on here to probably consider pursuing a master's degree before going to USDA jobs?
Well, we have both that I work with that have bachelors and, you know, people that have their masters as well. I would, just for me personally, if I was interested in getting the job, you know what, I'd take a chance, I'd apply for it, I'd see if I could get it. Even if I didn't have my master's, just because I think that the application process itself, and if I get to the interview process, is always valuable. If a master's is what I had my heart set on and that's what I wanted to do, then I would go ahead and pursue that. But I would say if you apply and get a federal job, if you're a student, there are some of the jobs that will allow you to continue studying, and actually you can, you know, get some benefit from doing the job as well as going to school at the same time. So you're basically kind of being paid to go to work and continue through your education if that position is specific for that. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. That's a very good answer to my question. And you know, the students we have here, others are pre-vet, others are general animal science, and others want to work straight with animals, others want more education. But we have a grant here that is funded by USDA, and it's actually a recruitment grant that is trying to equip people interested in USDA positions later to have that kind of preparation so they can succeed in there. And you touched on most of those already in your presentation, and I did appreciate your service as a Peace Corps, and I did work with some of those people elsewhere. I know that value there, and you worked in Guatemala. That was very good to hear. And I think I encourage students who are listening to consider that route that you went.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for having me. I enjoy helping people, and I hope that today would be helpful for you. If you have any questions in the future, you can certainly contact me. You know, Alexandra has my contact info, so please feel free to reach out. Like today doesn't have to be just goodbye forever.
So are you based in California or in another state?
I'm here in California, Southern California. Before COVID, I'd come out to Cal Poly a few times to speak, and then also there was a career day fair that I've gone to a couple times. So I'm here in the area.
Yeah, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. Any more questions for? Can you allow us to? What's her name? Jocelyn?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a couple more questions in the chat. One of them is, what advice would you give to everyone about your this career path?
Oh, what advice? I would say find out what you have an interest and an aptitude in. When I started, I did not know that I had really an interest and an aptitude in doing investigations. I would say find out what's meaningful for you, what gives you purpose in life. I feel that I do good work. My work is meaningful to me. And establish goals. That was important for me, to set a goal for what I want. Even if ultimately the direction changed, the goal gave me something to work towards. For example, I'm going to work on my resume to apply to vet school. So in doing that, I went into Peace Corps. That led off to another jumping off point for me. When I came back then and worked for the state, my goal of I want to get healthcare, that actually helped me get into my federal employment. So I would say take a chance. Sometimes maybe what you think is not quite for you, you can try it out. You don't have to stay there forever, but it might give you some other ideas that you never had as far as moving forward in your career path.
Okay, and then the other question is the formal title for your career an ag criminal inspector, just to reference to it later?
My job title is special agent. So it just means that, yeah, I'm a criminal investigator, but my ID for work says special agent on it. But when I look up my job position online, it's titled criminal investigator. And the series, if you're interested in, if you look online, there'll be job series. My series is 1811. If you look for that, then that's criminal investigation, if that's what you're interested in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
More questions?
I just want to ask Carla, how hard is that job? I mean, criminal investigation, how hard is it?
I like it a lot. We go through a basic training academy. I guess maybe kind of you'd think like a police officer does, where we're at the training facility for 2 months. And in that period, they teach you evidence collection, doing investigations. I'd say probably the two most important things for my position are being able to interview and talk to people. And I'll say it's nothing like you see on TV with yelling, things like that, because when we're interviewing people, you want to be able to create rapport. You want to be able to create an environment where they'll talk to you. And then the other would be writing. So I need to be able to put my reports together in a way that anyone could pick them up, read them and understand them, that they're clear and to the point. And those are the two things that I would say I'm constantly working on. Writing, I have people read my written product and I'm open to making changes. And then interviewing people. I take as many classes as I can on how to interview people. Those are the two things I'd say that are you can never say, oh, I've reached it and I don't have to work on it anymore. Those are the two things that are constantly something you have to prepare for.
Thank you.
Then there's a couple more questions. Did COVID-19 affect your job?
Gosh, yeah, I think for everybody, we're almost permanently telework now, whereas in the past, our office was in Diamond Bar. I went into the office every day, got a chance to talk to my coworkers every day, chance to bump ideas off of people, and that just doesn't exist anymore. And then the court system has changed. I've started submitting online now, and a lot of times it's just submitted online. We don't even have to appear in court anymore. And just, you know, we have to do like wear a mask anytime you go out. It kind of changed the face of everything for us. So as long as I guess it's going on, we're going to be working in this mode.
It's hard. Okay, and then what is the process of getting into the Peace Corps?
So the Peace Corps is another federal job. You can go to the Peace Corps website and you can sign up online there. If interested, I can email a Peace Corps recruiter who also comes to Cal Poly. I could send that to Alexandra, and then anybody that's interested could talk to her. I met her at one of the career fairs and she just is really nice, really knowledgeable, very interested, and she's available to speak also if you would like to ever have you to come to your club. But I'll send that contact info, and she's a recruiter, so she could help you with the entire process. But I guess if you want to know maybe what I had to do, I had to go through like a health screening, make sure that you don't have any kind of pre-existing health issues that would make going to a remote area an issue for you. I filled out an application, went through an interview process, and then started kind of the tailoring of what works for you, what do you want, and then where does Peace Corps have openings? And that's how I got my spot in Guatemala with livestock development. Because they had, I think, like fish farming and beekeeping and stuff like that, which was interesting. But for me at the time, I said, I want that livestock development for my resume for vet school.
Cool. And then I have another question. What interview tips do you have for us when applying to these jobs?
Read about wherever you're applying to, whatever business or position you're applying for, read about it prior so you know about that position. I would do a little bit practice, maybe kind of anticipate some of the things that they're going to ask you. And I would practice in front of someone and maybe have them ask you the questions and ask them for any improvement tips on speaking, answering the questions. We had a guy that applied at my office, and it was very, very clear when he came in that he had read the Department of Agriculture website. He knew things on there about the mission for the Department of Agriculture, the mission of OIG, and besides being a very good worker and having good experience, it was just really, really clear that he had done his work ahead of time to learn about the place that he was applying to work. And if you can talk to anybody that's already working there too, that would be my other suggestion, if they can give you any info or insight into wherever it is you're applying.
So if there's no other questions, we're probably going to be wrapping up the meeting just because some people have class at 1. So let's see.
Jocelyn, quick comment.
Yeah.
Let me make a just quick comment. I appreciate Carla for getting time to come again. I am always worked with the USDA through NRCS and other agents where I have been. Those are very well deserving positions. They work with the farmers directly. Some of them have, I think those are good positions. We need to explore those and take her advice well. And if she can go to work in Guatemala, sure, you can relocate to Utah and maybe Texas. So don't worry about the location. And, you know, I know Southern California is excellent place to stay, but I encourage you to consider the USDA positions. They are going to be rewarding. Those are good positions.
Yes, and I just want to thank you too, Ms. Young, for coming in. We really appreciate all the information that you offered. And I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody. I can see in the comments that everything has been really useful. So we really appreciate you coming by.
Oh, great, good, thank you. It's nice. And I'll send you the Peace Corps recruiters info so you'll have that. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.